This story appears in the February 26 issue of Sports Illustrated. To subscribe, click here. Jon Gruden has this idea for a story. It's not his story, not yet, though it's clear he'd like it to be. And maybe that shouldn't come as a surprise. He did spend plenty of time in the dark, alone, over the last decade, and that would set any man, even one who tries to, stay in 2 feet of water. Don't get too deep or philosophical, to thinking. Then there's the fact that at 54 you hear a lot about guys your age getting hit by cancer or heart attack, here one day and, boom, gone the next. So, yeah, Gruden formulated this theory about purpose and fraudulence and death. He jotted down some notes and even a title, The Football Gods. I thought I could write a cool Broadway play, he says. I really do want to write this book. I'd rather it be a movie. The base conceit is that in the end, your passion leads to your heaven. Live for classical music. Die and you'll be up there conducting the New York Philharmonic. Legendary football coaches like Lombardi and Hollis. They arrived, started talking ball and never stopped. And now they monitor the coaches down on earth. Gruden is convinced this part is real. All those icons are up there, judging. If you're faking it, the football gods will get you, he says. They reward the guys who work hard. That's why Tom Brady is where he is. If you're focused and determined and legit, good things will happen. I believe that. Now, to Gruden bashers, this idea couldn't be more hokey, but you can't overstate the power of context. He is saying this not from the Monday Night Football booth, or while tutoring some wide-eyed QB on ESPN. No, he's sitting now in his old, new Raiders office in Alameda, 27 days after breaking a 9-year exile in broadcasting to become the highest-paid coach in NFL history. It's Super Bowl Sunday, but he's been here since before sunrise, grinding and laying bricks, with no one else in sight. The glass-walled Warren is hushed and dark when he first walks me in, a perfect setting for the horror movie Child's Play, with its psycho doll, Gruden doppelganger, Chucky. There's a massive monitor mounted over his desk, paused on a practice script, and another gargantuous screen over his right shoulder playing America's annual football and marketing orgasm, with its endless blabber of pre-game, in-game and post-game talking heads. Al Davis wanted these walls to be glass, he says, so he could see that you were working. He always wore this cologne, a lot of it, and you could smell him before he got to you. He's coming this way. I'm still expecting to smell it sometimes. Which makes sense. It's not just that Gruden is back in the same facility he left on Feb. 18, 2002, when Davis, the Raiders' notoriously hands-on owner, up and shipped the coach to Tampa Bay for 2 first and 2 second-round draft choices. It's also that Davis's just win, baby persona, brass-knuckle fierce and darker than 2 a.m., was so unrelenting that even now, his 2011 death at age 82 can seem like a mere technicality. For many, Al Davis remains the Raiders' heart and soul. Did you know, Gruden asks, one eyebrow cocked northward, that they've kept his office exactly as it was? It's true. Mark Davis, Al's only son, didn't dare move into the owner's suite when he took over the family business. Asked where his office stands in relation to his dad's, Mark says, he's across the hall. While Super Bowl Sunday rattles on in the background, Gruden pads over to the empty desks of Al's 2 longtime Angels, his assistants Karen, Fudgy, Otten and Christy Bailey, now dedicated to team alumni. They're due back at their stations next week. Here, some 20 years ago, Gruden would come and wait to be summoned, wondering what he was in for. Often, the Angels winced, mouthing, "Good Luick. It's just weird coming in here, man," Gruden says. Feel like you're 34 years old again. After a cursory tour of Al's office, rack of leather jackets in the corner, certificates from Syracuse and the Sugar Ray Robinson Youth Foundation, jersey from Lance Alworth, Al's first signing coup, Gruden dips into Davis's film room, past 4 idle TV screens, to a fully marked-up whiteboard backed against a wall. Here it is, he says. Davis, named the AFL's Coach of the Year in 1963, was consumed by X's and O's to the end, and the fact that his last whiteboard, the repository of his scribbled plays and plans, remains untouched from 2011 gives Gruden the biggest thrill. Look it, he says, and then reads aloud from Davis's scribblings, power. Big people. Pass pro. Defense. Play calling. Offensive line. Not signed 21. 31. That's the last time he was here. Then Gruden's out, down the hall toward Al's private bathroom, stopping at a bookshelf jammed with Davis's massive video collection of games, plays, ceremonies. Gruden had epic arguments with the old man, and they never made peace after a final dispute over roster control and salary led Davis to deal him. But really, who would better appreciate the stiletto irony of Gruden's coming back that first season in Tampa Bay to crush the Raiders in Super Bowl 37? Looking back, Gruden loves the man for his sheer territoriality, that hilariously profane will. His wife, Carol, had all these videos at their house, and she'd ask, "Do you want any?" Gruden recalls, laughing. "I'd say, I would love to have some of those," and Al says, here the coach affects a menacing, low and slow, Brooklyn-tinged Al Davis inflection. Carol: "Don't you give him a thing. It's at that moment I realize, if Gruden ever writes the football gods, Al Davis will be one of them. Hell, maybe football heaven ends up a version of this very office. Because, at least in Gruden's mind, this return to the game isn't all about proving critics wrong, or justifying that 10-year, $100 million contract, or giving Oakland a playoff run before its planned move to Las Vegas in 2020. A year ago Gruden called the Raiders, got the name of Davis's cologne, Antius, by Chanel, mispronounced it at a New York department store.